Okay, so we've got our app where it's showing notifications, local notifications, and when a notification pops up, like is about to happen here, I can tap on that thing and it's going to launch the app and it's going to show me the quote of the day. Because the reason it shows me the quote of the day is because that's the default behavior of my app. When it first comes up, if you look at our storyboard here, you see that or you remember, that the first view controller that we show is the quote view controller. So back to my simulator here, let's go drag down from the top. You see that notification. I tap on that. I say open. It launches the app and it shows me today's quote of the day. All right. But what happens if I have a notification while the app is running? So let's set this to 3:37 now and say done. And I'm going to go say to the topics happiness. Okay, I'm going to go to the second happiness quote. And now the notification is going to happen in 10 seconds. Look at the clock on my computer here. So in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, notification. What happened here? Well, what happened is we got the notification because we were in the foreground. Um, it basically told us about it, and we ignored it, which you may be fine with. You may say, look, if the notification happens while they're using the app, drop it. But if you'd actually like to show the quote of the day when it's time and they've been notified about it, then we need to go back to our app delegate here, and we need to finish implementing that the user notification center delegate. All right, so let's clean up our app delegate a bit. First of all, let's delete all this boilerplate code that we don't really need. And let's now say, all right, look, I'm going to have a user notification center delegate. And then I'm going to want some helpers, well, a helper. Okay, and let's also mark, this is our application lifecycle. We need the one entry point for when we're initially launching. And we have properties. Okay, so, all right, now, what we need to do then, let's go read about the user notification center delegate. And what we'll see here as we look at this, it says, protocol defines methods for responding to actionable notifications and receiving notifications while your app is in the foreground. All right, and so here are the two methods that can be called on the delegate. Called when a notification is delivered to a foreground app, and call to let your app know which action was selected by the user, if you have actions that can be selected. We just did the open, if you recall in that example that I showed you, and we haven't defined any custom actions. Okay, so let's start by writing our helper. Private func segue to quote of the day. All right, now what do we want to do when we get notified? We want to segue to quote of the day no matter where we are. If I'm on the settings view controller, take me back to the quote of the day view controller and display today's quote of the day. If I'm on the topics view controller, again, take me back to the quote view controller and show me the quote of the day. All right, so that's our objective here. And now let's implement the two delegate methods, and then we'll fill out the segue to quote of the day with that behavior. So I'm just going to start typing user notification center. And I have two auto completions here. So if I hit return, this is the did receive response. And so what I want to do is I want to say, hey, well, if I get notified, segue to quote of the day, and then invoke that completion handler so that we don't forget to tell whoever cared to be notified that we're done, that we're done. Let's go pretty this up just a little bit here. Okay, and then, okay, while I'm at it, let's clean this one up just a little bit, and I'm going to push that over like that. Yeah, okay. And now, the second notification delegate method, notification center delegate method, is this one right here. And we'll present notification with completion handler, and this is the one where they may have chosen an action. Okay, And now, again, we're going to segue to quote of the day, and then we're going to notify the completion handler, hey, we're done. Now, in this case, it takes a parameter, a UN notification presentation options. And so I can just build one of those objects, and I don't want anything other than the defaults, and so that'll be fine. Notify the completion handler that we're done. Okay, now, to segue to quote of the day. All right, now remember our storyboard. We have a rotating nav VC, and it has as its root view controller, it's a navigation control. As its first view controller in the view controllers array, it has a quote of the day. Now, it could also have presented a modal over here or over here, the settings view controller or the topics view controller. So going back, so let's go to our window and let's see what we can get from our window. So I'm looking for a rotating nav VC, that very first thing. And so I'm going to go to my window object, which is, you see, it's optional. It could be nil, so I'm going to use optional chaining in case it's nil, so it doesn't die on me. And I'm going to say, give me your root view controller, which I hope is a rotating navigation controller. If that works and I can cast it, then let's proceed on. Otherwise, we'll just stop trying to do anything and be done. But now in this case, I'm going to say rotating nav VC, hey, would you dismiss any, and notice the help here, dismisses the view controller that was presented modally by the view controller. So dismiss, animated, we're going to say true, and actually we don't care about the completion handler. So we're just going to delete that. There is no completion handler in this case. So this is just saying, look, if you have, oh, I've got one of those invalid character and source files again. I hate those. Where is that problem? Oh, it has a fix it now. Hey, great. It was right after window. I did some key combination. Okay. That fix it is new for Xcode 9. Happy to see that. Okay, now, if let quote VC equals rotating nav VC. So, having dismissed either the settings view controller or the topics view controller, and by the way, if we haven't presented a modal, dismiss just says, oh, there's nothing for me to do, nothing to dismiss. In any case, the very first view controller, that root of my nav view controller now, ought to be a quote view controller. So if I can go to this nav VC's view controllers array, and I can ask it for its first, and notice it returns an optional view controller. So if that's non-nil and it can be cast as a quote view controller, both, then let's proceed to say, hey, quote VC, would you show the quote of the day? And we wrote that method when we were working on clearing out topics and displaying quote of the day instead. Remember when we click on the Today button in the upper left corner. So we execute that same code to make sure we're showing the quote of the day. It might already be present, in which case this is just saying, hey, redisplay what you already have there, but the user won't notice that. And if it's displaying topics right now, it'll now display quote of the day instead. Okay, so does that work? Let's try it out. Okay, so build succeeded and launching. And so first of all, let's go change this over to happiness. Okay, we're on happiness 1 of 2, and now it's 344, so let's set for 345. Okay, so in 15 seconds now, we're going to see what happens. Remember, we're showing happiness here in our main view controller. And now I'm showing the settings. So 4, 3, 2, 1. It should dismiss settings and show quote of the day. And if I were on this other one here, the topics view controller, I'd get the same behavior. It would dismiss this and show the current quote of the day. All right, so we're handling now notifications that come when we're in the foreground. And I guess the last little bit that I want to think about for this application, I want to restore state. And so we'll focus on that in the next video.